right, everybody. So in the room, if you had downloaded my presentation from the website, of course, I made some modifications. I've been playing with it. You know, AI is changing every single day. And so if you want to, can you see the whole screen? Because I created a link. So there's a QR code. And we also have a tiny URL, so you can access these slides. And it would be great if you could go ahead and open these slides up in another tab and follow along, because I have a lot of interactive links and some tools that we can go take a look at. So I'd love for you to go ahead and open up this slide deck on another link if you can. That would be great. And so it's that tiny URL. .com/ICSC 2024 and my last name Reischl. And then you'll have access to the new set of slides in the room. All right, so I'm in the room. My name is Virginia Reischl. I'm the Literacy and Language Coordinator from the Orange County Department of Education. I have 20 years in education. This is my 21st. Always will be a 6 through 12 ELA teacher. I taught AP Lit and AP Lang, middle school, high school. I was a district ELA History Social Science Curriculum Specialist. I teach at UCI and at Concordia Irvine in their single subject credential program. Fun fact, master's in Anglo-Saxon poetry, go figure, and I love AI and I love everything technology, but I go way back. And funny enough, just a little information, my nickname is V Money. And as we get more familiar with each other during this next hour, you might know, kind of figure out the reason why. So first I want to talk about some statistics. And how does this go, how can these relatively new statistics inform our practice? Okay, inform our practice. So if we take a look at this slide, the highlight is me. I found that very interesting, but I just wanted you to just take a minute or so and read these statistics. And what do you notice? What do you wonder? You can unmute, you can type in the chat. What do you notice? What do you wonder? Oops, sorry, let me go back. I seem to have lost my chat. So if anybody wants to unmute.
Schools don't seem to have a plan. And you also have students are not waiting for us to figure out how to use it. And there's a discrepancy in the use of AI. I'm reading the chats to you.
Very
and
good. Thank you.
Matthew has his hand up. Hi, Matt.
Yes.
You have your hand up.
Yeah, just the extraordinary speed with which it's been adopted, right? It's like 2.5 years old.
Yeah.
I know, exactly right. I mean, it's so new, and our students are just are accessing it and trying to figure it out. Let's go to the next one. Oops. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I apologize. All right. So the most common AI tools used in education, if you notice, they're AI-powered educational games. The next one is adaptive learning platforms, automatic grading, chatbots, then the tutoring systems. So kind of thinking about your own practice. What do you notice? What do you wonder? And Susan, that would be great if you could read some of those out if anybody
Yes.
sees anything.
I'll do that.
That'd be great. I personally know that, so if any of you have ever used a Kahoot, that is an AI-powered educational game. So I know that we like to gamify our practice. And so that's actually using an AI tool. And I think that's why that's the most common tool. I'm going to go to the next piece of data to take a look at. Very, very small on this, but you do have a link to this particular this research. But to notice that the breakdown of the most common ways to use AI in education is supporting students with learning difficulties. And so 51% of those polled of AI users, people that use it, are using it for students with learning difficulties. And I'm going to show you some great tools. Generating quizzes and assessments is the next highest, and adjusting content by appropriate grade level for students. So you notice that sometimes that we can use some AI tools to lower lexile levels to adapt certain materials for our students. But what I find very interesting for me personally, and see if you see this, is look at the smallest percentage of AI users use it to provide emotional support for struggling students. Is there a way that we can use AI tools for our students that need this extra support? And that's the piece that I am very, very much interested in, and trying to support our teachers, to support you in feeling comfortable enough to use AI in a more UDL way. The last one that I wanted us to take a look at, and I think that this was just mentioned just previously, is that the AI tools mostly used by our students are ChatGPT and My AI and Snapchat. And so they're using it quite a bit more. But then there's that lack of how are we supporting that? How much do we know in the classroom? And how are we informing the use of AI for our students? So I like to start with just those little bit statistics, kind of giving us an idea about what does AI look like through the lens of data. So my objectives today with you for the next hour, right, because it's 10:34, is we're going to understand AI's role. We're going to look at some generative AI, how it can enhance personalized learning experiences, but also because I appreciate that we're all coming in right now in this room together, trying to learn some basics. We're coming in with some basic information. So my goal is not to do a lot of like flashy, oh, these are all the new tools, but how can we implement AI? How can we use AI in a very strategic and an intentional way? So I developed a framework called Guide, and it's aligning AI application through the lens of universal design for learning. So through the UDL principles, how can we formulate and design our AI integration through an equitable and inclusive lens? And so I just developed this framework. And so you, my friends, are the first ones that I'm actually presenting it to. So I appreciate the time and the space, and any kind of feedback that you can give me on this framework would be most helpful. So we're going to talk about this framework. Then we're going to actually get into some tools. And what I like about the tools that we're going to be looking at are tools that you already have access to. So it's not like the big fancy ones that keep coming out every single day, but just some ones that you may be familiar with, but are unsure on how to integrate this into your teaching and into your practice. And then I'm going to give you just a little bit of time, some framework time to develop some strategies, some actionable strategies that may help you in the days to come and make you feel more confident to be able to speak to what AI looks like in education.
And you have two comments here. First one was Sherry's wondering about adaptive learning platforms, which I assume you're going to go over with
Yes.
the AI tools. And then Matt asked, what are they using Snapchat AI for?
So when they do a Snapchat, they can ask AI to create the filters, create images. Snapchat has a lot of reads, because Snapchat also reads a lot of algorithms of what they're looking at in Snapchat. And so they're using, basically they're prompting. And so AI for Snapchat is the students, like if you're using Snapchat, you can prompt AI to craft messages, actual content for you. So it is generative. They're asking AI to create images and language in their Snapchat. I hope that answered.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. So, question, just going to throw this out here. I want you to think about, what do you think artificial intelligence is? If you could define artificial intelligence, what would it be? What would your definition be? Anybody want to call it out or type it in?
I'll jump in and
Yes.
everyone else can jump in too, because I'm sure I'm not going to be summative in my ideas. I think it's regenerative.
Okay.
Whether it be language processing or, supervised or unsupervised, it's all regenerative. That's the only big idea I took away from it.
Perfect. That's good. Because it's regenerating, right? Something else. It's taking something and then regenerating it in another fashion. It's looking for patterns. It's looking for, those algorithms are looking for patterns of something that's already been generated and that's just regenerating it. Is that kind of what you're thinking? So the definition that I personally like, of all the definitions out there about artificial intelligence, is actually from IBM. And because of the word mimic, artificial intelligence leverages computers and machines to mimic the problem solving and decision making capabilities of the human mind. It's like that. It's regenerating something, but it isn't human. It mimics the problem solving and decision making that we do as human beings. And so I like this definition just because I like to give this to students, because they understand that it's not going to, hopefully, this is funny though, hopefully it's not going to be Space Odyssey 2001, where Hal decides, to actually to destroy the spaceship, but like, I can't do that, Dave. So we hope that doesn't happen. But at this time in space, machines and computers are mimicking. They're looking for patterns that have already been created, and they're just doing it at lightning speed.
And you have two more
yes.
definitions in the chat. One,
Perfect.
Floor says it's a supplemental resource for efficiency. And Annie says artificial intelligence is when humans have put knowledge into a machine that can regurgitate it, and excuse me, and it came about with the advent of computers.
Very good. That is it came about, you're right. It was actually, it came out in the 40s, when they were trying to create it was like reversed. We took the brain to try and create computers, and now the computers are trying to recreate the brain. So it's like historically, artificial intelligence has been around for a very, very long time, right? And this artificial intelligence, but it's just since a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, in that November moment when OpenAI just blasted us out with so much technology and so much innovation so quickly, it just seems like it seems to me very overwhelming, but it has been around for quite some time. Common terminology. This is the language. These are the terms that are being used most often now when we talk about AI. When we talk about generative AI, which is different than just that broad AI, it's to describe the artificial intelligence that uses learning algorithms to create new digital images, video, audio, text, and code. So generative AI is just a different subtext of AI, the large AI. LLMs, large language models, artificial intelligence that's been trained on quantities of text and data. And that's your ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, Perplexity, Claude. So those are called LLMs. They're large language models. Okay. Intelligent tutoring systems. This is your adaptive learning systems. And so ITS, intelligent tutoring systems, are those platforms that use adaptive learning. And so one example would be iReady, because everybody uses that iReady. It adapts when the students are answering his questions. They adapt and then categorize with those algorithms what levels, what foundational skills are they leveled at? What is their reading comprehension? And so those are ITSs, or adaptive learning systems. And the last one has been around forever, are NLPs, and those are your natural language processing. And those are NLP is that little squiggly little red line that we used to get in Microsoft Word, or the little squiggly little green line. And so these are computers that understand and comprehend language. And so that's our speech to text, our Grammarly, autocorrect, even those PDFs that we're able to go in and edit our PDFs now. That is an NLP. That is a linguistic computer science that overlaps with AI. So we're using AI even when we didn't know we were. So these are some just common terms, and I hope that kind of helps you kind of categorize and kind of see the different ways that we use artificial intelligence every day, and then how we can incorporate that into our practice. The UNESCO definition for literacy was changed over the summer. Last August, they redefined what literacy is. And the bolds and the italics are mine, and the underline. Those are all mine, because I found this very, very interesting. That now the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization has defined literacy as beyond its conventional concept as a set of reading, writing, and counting skills. Literacy is now understood as a means of identification, understanding, interpretation, creation, and communication in an increasingly digital, text-mediated, information-rich, and fast-changing world. That's new. Literacy is a continuum of learning and proficiency in reading, writing, and using numbers throughout life. And that's the old definition. And they added, as in part of a larger set of skills, which include digital skills, media literacy, education for sustainable development, and global citizenship, as well as job-specific skills. Literacy skills themselves are expanding and evolving as people engage more and more with information and learning through digital technology. What I appreciate about this is that it is our due diligence to make sure that our students are literate, because like I said, this is the great equalizer of all humanity. is that being able to read, write, and count opens up so many doors. And so adding AI literacy to this literate citizen that we're trying to support in their education, their K through 12 education, this is an important piece so to keep them. And I don't like to say that this is going to give them a job, you know, or their jobs are going to get taken away, but just understanding the complexity of AI and being able to keep it human-centered. And keeping AI human-centered is giving opportunities for our students to recognize AI, to grasp AI, to use it, but also most importantly, to critically assess it.
Hello.
Does someone want to share something?
Hello.
Yes. Did you want to say something?
I just asked someone to mute.
Oh,
I
okay.
think someone got a phone call.
Oh, okay. All righty. I know it's fun, fun Monday morning. And so what I appreciate the fact is that if we focus on this data literacy, AI literacy, then we're going to be able to create these citizens, or not create, but support, you know, our citizens in our classroom and also our workmates to understand that AI, if we critically assess AI, that last one is so important, that keeps us in that realm of making sure that we keep it human-centered. AI needs to have that human element to it, and we need to be able to recognize, grasp, and use it, and also to critically assess. So here is, these next two slides are some ways of us to be able to assess AI. Can you spot the image created by AI to kind of be able to see the difference between what is a natural photograph and what is a generated photograph? And so what I like about these quizzes is that you can do these with your students. You can do these at a staff development. You can do this you know, in your department, do it with your families, because you want to make sure that you feel empowered and that you don't want to be fooled by AI, because you can get fooled, but to be able to look at things with a critical eye. I'm just going to show you just a couple of them. This one, and what's fun is that this one was created by NBC News, and it was in 2022, so this is a couple of years old, but it's still a good it's a good quiz. I'm just going to show you a couple of them before I think there's 21 here, but the way it works is you just want to say here, which one can you spot the image that was created by AI? Is it the left one or the right one? So I want you guys just to kind of think, is it the left one or the right one? I'm just going to choose that one. And it says it's correct. And then it'll tell you exactly why. So that's what I like about this one, is that you can take this test and then it'll give you the reasons. And like, I'm going to say that that's the AI one and it's correct. And it'll say it has some flaws, bulging cheek, cartoonish eyes. It was generated by deep AI. And then this was Getty Images. And then I'm going to just say, oh, no, you're wrong. And then it'll tell you why you're wrong. And then it tells you the attributions. It attributes the pictures to where they came from. So this is a fun way to kind of get an idea, to go back and forth to see what was AI generated and what is real. And I appreciate the reason why I'm sharing this one is because of the attributions, because I think that's really important when our students, when we do, and this is a whole nother presentation, is about how to attribute the work that students are using to make sure that we have those guardrails on that go against like plagiarism and things like that. So there's that quiz. This one just came out, the Pew Research one. And what I like about this one is I would love for you to take this on your own because this tests your awareness of artificial intelligence in everyday life. And so it's asked you these questions. Thinking about customer service, which of the following uses artificial intelligence? And so you would say, you would answer a detailed frequent, an FAQ webpage, an online survey, a content page, a chatbot that immediately answers your questions or not sure. And so there's these 6 questions about what is AI in everyday life, and you'll be surprised when you're finished with the test or the quiz. It gives you all of the research because it is developed by Pew, and it'll tell you all of the current data on how well people understand AI in their daily life. So that's a good quiz. Google has this fun little quiz that is an actual, it's timed, and you go back and forth, and it's find the AI image generator. This is a great one for students because it's really quick. They have 4 little hearts. Yeah, make a mistake, you have to find like which one is the AI generated. I'm gonna go that one. Yay! Right. And so it kind of is like a fun way for you to practice what is AI. And then the last one is the student project. And this one actually has faces and also writing. So you have to is this AI human or generated? And then they don't tell you the answers until the very end. But they'll give you a piece of writing, and then you have to determine whether it was written by a chatbot or written by a human. And at the end of the quiz, it gives you the reasons why. So I wanted to share those with you because this is a great introduction, a great way for our students to be able to understand and grasp what does AI look like. This is another student activity that I'm sharing with you on the ethics of generative AI in the classroom. These are 3 student activities from facing history on ourselves. And you can use these, there's 3, there's what is generative AI, how should or shouldn't students use it, and what norms should govern AI in the classroom. So this is a resource for you as well to kind of help that student grasp AI, and then also come up with norms in the classroom on the way AI should be used. Now, if you notice, on the bottom of every slide, you're going to see some icons. And these icons match up to the framework called Guide. So that last icon had the little regenerate the brain and the arrows, and the other one had the brain with the idea. Those match up with what is generative AI, leveraging it, and actually understanding and promote critical reflection. So this guide is a framework that I incorporate these different elements of how to design, and not necessarily how to design, but what thinking we need to do in our practice in order to create an environment using AI that's inclusive, equitable, and human. And so there's 5.
Can I stop you for just a minute? Sorry,
Yes.
we have 2 questions. One
Yes.
says, Amy says we don't have the same PowerPoint. I think there are some pages that are slightly different from the one you gave us. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
So if you could put in the
URL?
the URL again, because I think some people
Mhm.
came in late.
Yes,
That would be great. Yes, so I
there
updated
it
the
is.
slide deck, everybody. And so Susan's putting in the URL for
It's
the
already
new
there.
one. Perfect.
And then you have another question about, are these copyrighted? So if they wanted to use your guide, is it
You may
copyrighted?
use my guide. The only thing I have on at the bottom is that I created this guide here at work. So I just have OCDE 2024 at the bottom. It has been created by me at the Orange County Department of Ed, which is free education for everybody. So please use this. I want everybody to have some type of support or some type of tools to help you formulate, and it's just like guide you, hence the word guide you in implementing and thinking about how to design AI in an equitable way. So yes, I didn't copyright anything. Actually, I just went on Canva and I made this and came up with these ideas. I actually took the UDL, and so on the back of so I uploaded this, I believe, in your on the platform. So you should have a PDF copy of this as a bookmark form, as an infographic on the front side. This is on the front and this is on the back. Using AI with this universal design for learning, I took the engagement piece of UDL and to make sure that we foster human connection and emotional engagement, that we allow learners to retain control over their learning paths, and most importantly, encourage creativity, curiosity, and joy in their learning. And I do believe that some generative AI platforms and tools can bring joy into their learning. Representation is just a little bit different than what the UDL representation means. This representation is amplifying that human understanding and offering different perspectives, making sure that the AI that we design for our students is culturally relevant and that ethical considerations are actually encouraged. And that's why I added that ethics piece for our students, and that our AI generated representations should include marginalized voices and avoid bias and ensure fair access to knowledge. That fair access to knowledge is important because we want to make sure that if we're using AI in the classroom, that we're not giving an advantage to those that can access it outside the classroom, that we're actually having to use these things together. So it's more equitable in that sense. And the last, for action and expression, the how of learning, I appreciate the choice that different AI platforms and the different pathways that we can use AI, that the student uses their own voice and creativity. And that comes with, I don't get much into prompt writing, but if you want to write that down to do some research on creating prompts is an art form, and teaching students how to create effective prompts to get the algorithms, to get the ChatGPT, to get the image generators to create what they want is a really great metacognitive exercise, because they can write their prompts, out with you. They can refine them and then input them into the AI image generator or the LLM to see if that's what that they get from. And so that's how you can kind of keep it as a tool to enhance their own thinking rather than replacing it. So if we kind of outline our design in our teaching practice, we can help our students become better consumers of AI and be very critical of AI. So I did those little icons for each different part of the framework. And so I put these little icons on the slide deck on where this could fall into this particular guide. All right. So what time is it? Oh, it's 11 o'clock and we have half an hour. Okay, so I want to make sure that we get into looking at some of these tools. Now, I'm pretty sure that some of these tools you've already used or you're familiar with, but I just wanted to kind of explain some to you and give you a chance to see how you could incorporate this into your teaching, into your exploration. So if you could, and if Susan could see, how many of you have used Quizlet? How many of you have used Quizlet? I'm going to stop sharing for a quick second. Can you do a little hand, like on that reaction? A little hands up using Quizlet? Excellent. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to my Quizlet and kind of, oh, oops. I stopped sharing, didn't I? I'm sorry. Share. All right. So with Quizlet, where did I put my Quizlet? I think that's it. Oh no, that's Pew Research. All right. Quizlet. So when you use Quizlet, let me see, here we go. You can put in, and then please, those of you that have used Quizlet, if you want to just type in the chat, how did you use it? Is it successful? How do your students respond to Quizlet? So Quizlet, you can get the free, I have the free one here. And you can, and I love how it even has create like flashcards. And so what I did here is enhancing learning and equity. I uploaded my my guide, my framework, and it created. All I did was I uploaded, and then it's very simple, but it creates like these little flashcards. And so you can create flashcards. You can create games. And so what I liked about the games too, right? Quizlet helps you gamify their learning. You can create tests. You can create all kinds of ways for that student to access your content. And so this is that personalized learning on being able to Quizlet student pass blasts. They have like these, oh, the blast that's creates the flashcards that are like really fast for you quickly, and also creates like study guides. You can upload lecture slides, reading notes from your computer, from your Google Drive, or you could just type it all right in here and it'll create a whole study guide for your students. And so that's a great way to differentiate for student learning. So Quizlet is a great tool. Another tool is, let me go back to my main one, is Brisk. Have any of you used Brisk before? You could raise your hand. Great. Brisk is a Chrome extension. Okay. So it's a Chrome extension that you can just go in and get Chrome. Get Brisk on your Chrome. And I have the Brisk Educator free. And what Brisk can do is all these amazing tools on here. I just put in, I actually had ChatGPT write me 2 paragraphs on capybaras. And so I copy and pasted that in here. And so on my Google Doc, I could say, change the level. And I want to change this level to 3rd grade. It has the original document here. And now it's going to change that level to 3rd grade reading. I can ask it to translate that to Canadian French. I can do so many different things I could do with that. Let me stop that one. And then, change the level, boost student activity, give feedback. I can ask to create. I can ask if a student turns in a document, I can actually give feedback. I can ask it to give me feedback on there too. I can upload a rubric. I can select standards. And so with Brisk, you can differentiate. You can make text accessible. You can have the students write on here, and then you make the comments. And so Brisk is a platform, or excuse me, a Chrome extension for your Google Documents. Okay.
And can I have a question, Virginia?
Yes.
How do you feel about the feedback that the AI gives compared to what you would give for a student?
That's a amazing, and that's a great question. So when I consider AI feedback, I consider that feedback to be very, I want the feedback to be on more mechanics, on more about maybe organization, about where to maybe to change their where to place their content. But I I'm not very comfortable as an English teacher making comments about their content. I want their content of the piece of writing, that feedback to come from me, but I want the glows and grows, just instant feedback from an AI generated feedback response to be something that the student can do like quick revisions. Like, oh, maybe it could be an edit, it could be the mechanics of the piece. I'd much rather have AI tell them to make sure they're capitalizing, using more Grammarly types of feedback for them. To polish their writing mechanically, but with the content and with major revisions, that's where I think the human element could come in. But I think what I love about the feedback is that it can be instantaneous for the students. If I have a class of 35, I would use the feedback feature on almost all of these AI platforms. I'm working with, it's called Packback right now, on how they are engineering their feedback for their programs to be station rotations. And so if you are doing writing rotations in your classroom, that they're getting quick feedback from an AI generated feedback. They're working on that. But when they get to me, then that feedback is when we have the conversation about the writing and about the content and about the revisions. So I wouldn't use that feedback as a standalone feedback. I hope that answered that question.
Yes, and you have a question from Samantha.
Yes, Samantha.
Hi. So last year, I'm at the Santa Clara County Office of Education, and there was an AI in Education Summit last year, and the person from Khan Academy came and spoke, Conmigo. And so his whole thing with like their AI integrated into their program is that for teachers using it to help with the grading and the feedback, that there would also then be a report saying like, your students struggled with like these things, these were common mistakes, like all of that. Are any of the like Brisk, for example, if you are putting in your rubric and everything, does it then also like generate that if you were using the same rubric for multiple papers? Or is there not that like feedback option for teachers with this? Does that make sense?
Yes, that totally makes sense. And I believe with Brisk, it does generate some reports. And to be honest with you, I don't have that plan on Brisk. I just have the free educator plan.
Mhm.
But there are those plans that you can get that have that. So
Gotcha.
I hope that helps a little bit. I like the Khan Academy. I think that's really great. I think almost all of the larger platforms are creating, with that feedback, and it's always changing because the engineering piece of it is exponentially growing, and so the feedback portion of it, they're really trying to make it easy for the teachers to grade, and taking away that time, right? So you can actually sit with the student. So what I'm hearing you saying though too is that you want to see the most common, I don't want to say errors, but like the most common revision needs and the most common mistakes. And so you can teach to those. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Kind of, yeah. And they also said that like, because they came up with the idea or talked about the idea of like kind of like professional or personalized tutoring too for the students. So like students are able to interact with their AI chatbot as well. And so if students were asking similar questions or like in the process of trying to come up with answers and everything, they were just like taking all of that data and kind of like telling teachers like, oh, this came up a lot. That way you just have more information too.
Yes. So I think if I correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe Brisk does have that capability. I just haven't seen that one, but I've seen this capability in Magic School does what you're saying. So does this Packback. So if you want to Google Packback, Packback is another writing support, AI support platform. And so does trying to think Edu AI, I think it's called Edu AI, is another platform that does that. So what I'm thinking too is that Khan Academy does that, but now like almost all the other platforms are jumping in on it as well. So I think what my takeaway for you all too is finding platforms that you're comfortable with and not really getting too worried about knowing them all. If you find one, because they're all basically going to be the same, and a lot of this is getting capitalism at its finest. So there's going to be a price on quite a few. So the things that I'm trying to show you right now too are the ones that are free. And they're like free for now.
And how do you spell Packback for the
It's
Packback AI?
Yeah, it's you know what? I think it's PA. Is it PA Packback? I think it's
Oh,
that.
it
Oh,
might be.
oh, nope. I'm blocked on that one. I think it's PACBACK, Packback.
Yeah.
There was
I think that's it.
oh, perfect. Oh, you got it in there.
I think so, but I didn't give it to everybody.
A lot of school districts here in Orange County are using Packback for their AVID programs. So I thought that was really interesting that they're using it to help the students in those tutoring classes, in those classes that are getting if you don't know sure about AVID, it's oh my gosh, AVID what is it? Academic via individual determination. So they're using that as well. But I just wanted to show you too how Brisk is an add-on for Google and Immersive Reader is an add-on for Microsoft Word. So if you're using Microsoft Word, I'm not quite sure if any of you know that you can use this when your students are writing on a Word document. If they go up to View, you go up to View and you go to Learning Tools, you have this Immersive Reader support tool for when students are writing, maybe any students that needed some additional help with their composing and with their needs on putting words to paper. And so what Immersive Reader does for them on Microsoft Word is you can adjust the column width. For students with visual impairments, you can change the color of the paper. You can change the spacing. You can add syllables. And you can also have it read out loud.
I love cheese pizza.
And so it's when they're writing, they can have the text read it back to them to see if that's the way that they wanted it to say. And so when it's the read aloud, you can choose the reading speed. And also there's 3 different voices. So this might not be a super high tech way of supporting through that Immersive Reader piece, but it is AI generated and it does help your students with their composition if they're using Microsoft Word. So I wanted to share that with you as a tool. I also wanted to show you in Canvas. So if you have Canvas, if anybody uses Canvas, you have an AI Immersive Reader tool that is automatically attached to any page that you create in Canvas. So if you create a page in Canvas, this was my home page for a PD that I put on last year. Up in the right-hand corner is called Immersive Reader. And so for your students that need additional support with any of your assignments or something that they want to see in Canva, you can also create a page where you copy and paste any type of text that they're reading in class. As long as it's on a page, you click on Immersive Reader, and that student has many options on the way that they can access this content. So you have text preferences, and most of these preferences they did are dyslexic fonts for students with dyslexia. You can do font size, increase spacing. You can have the color themes, more colors. You can also do syllables. This is a great lesson for parts of speech. And then you can show the labels. And also you can have line focus. So if they need to have read line by line. Picture dictionaries. So that picture dictionary, if there's a image, if there's a picture, you should be able to see that. Oh no, there we go. Picture dictionary. So it'll show them the picture, but it also generates language. And so you can choose, well, first you could choose, you want the language by word or by the whole document. And then we can go to traditional by document. It'll translate it. And also they could do by word, by picture.
Picture. 图片.
And so this is a platform that is free. If you use Canvas, you have this already embedded into each page. So
And
that,
we have another question here.
Yes.
Flora asked, for students with fine motor needs, are there platforms that could draw shapes or math equations when spoken? Can they speak a math equation and have it appear on the page, like text to speech?
You can do that with ChatGPT. I've seen that because I have the ChatGPT on my phone, and I can do the text to speech on that, and I could say create an image and it'll create the image. I'm wondering, because I'm just trying to think too of the platforms that I've used. I want to show you Padlet, and Padlet, you have to type it in. You know what? That's really, I don't know any of those off the top of my head, but I'll totally find out for you. You have my information too, so you can just email me and I'll find that out for you right away. I wanted to show you another, how many of you, if you want to raise your hand, use Padlet? Nice, Padlet. So with Padlet has a feature called I Can't Draw. And I was sharing this with one of my students at I was guest speaking at Vanguard University, and this was a student teacher. She's a single subject ELA candidate, and I was talking about Padlet, and she tried it out with her students on the elements of a short story. And so she wanted to share with me how it worked. And I just wanted it was a testimonial. I asked her if it was okay if I shared it with y'all. And she had her two focus students was a student, multi-language learner, and also a student it wasn't a student with special needs, but there was a student that needed extra support. And what she did is that they used the I can't draw feature to create a picture for rising action, the beginning, climax, and the ending, falling action. And so they were writing a story. And so they had the AI piece illustrate the story for them. And for her focus students, I thought this was interesting, is that they were very engaged. That's very, I'm just thinking about the design of it. The engagement piece is so important for students. The one student who never completes work in class tried to stay after the bell rang so they can continue to work. And another one of her focus students was able to do the writing portion, but drew their own picture instead of the AI. And I love that. I love that choice piece. You don't have to use the AI, but the AI is there. And so that's that concept of giving students that choice to demonstrate their learning in different engaging ways and in not one single way.
And is I Can't Draw free on Padlet, or is it
Yes.
paid? Oh, it's free?
No, it's free because I'm going to show you my Padlet. Let's see, I was going to show you what it looks like. That's not the Padlet. That's not the Padlet. So I created a Padlet for one of my trainings. Here it is. And so we did the same thing. And this was a training. This was with teachers to see how they could incorporate it. And I just did columns, characters, setting, conflict, and resolution. And the way that I would do it with the students is you would put your prompt in so you could see what the prompt was to see if it was what you wanted it to do. So this is that critical thinking piece, because if this person says an expansive rainforest filled with flowers and insects of all colors, this is what was created, but it might not be what you really wanted. So you would have to go back in and change your prompt. So what you do when you add, so you see all this, and so this is the normal ones, right? On what you would put in on add on your Padlet. But if you click here, you'll see right here is the I can't draw. So you click on the I can't draw, and then you oops, okay, allow. And then here you write what you want to draw. So this is the prompt. And so if I put in yellow submarine in the Arctic waters. Let's just see. I don't know, right? And then I'm going to hit this little arrow. And so what I would do is I would type yellow. I would make sure that the students put this into that top part. And so it gives you 4 different choices. And I kind of like that one. And then that subject line, I would put yellow submarine. And then I could write something incredible. I could add a caption, and then that's going to go on my page.
And you have about 8 minutes.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I am so sorry. Okay. So I hope so that's another way of engagement, right? And so that's that whole, the UDL practice of getting students engaged. And also sometimes I think this brings joy as well. There's another platform called CuriPod. It has really great, so this is, remember that one piece of that data said that they're not using AI to do check-ins with their students, that whole SEL portion. CurioPod has tons of SEL check-ins, ways of getting your students to be more engaged, engage them, and also to bring joy. So I highly recommend that you take a look at CurioPod. Again, just to reinforce and to make you to think about how you're going to be integrating AI, your comfortability. AI does create adaptive learning paths. It does have that critical thinking component to it. The metacognition piece is that piece in that AI literacy where you have to have students think about, why did you choose this particular picture? Why did you choose these words? How does this express your learning? So whatever platforms you decide to use, to add that reflective piece into the instruction, because that's going to allow that student to actually tell you why he chose to use this particular prompt. They chose to use this particular picture. So they're using the AI to benefit their own learning. The accessibility piece, I think the immersive reader in Canvas and the immersive reader on the Microsoft Word document is really important. That immersive reader is being incorporated, the larger one, like the one in Canvas, in most platforms. And so if you look onto the platforms that you decide to use, check the accessibility, because they will have something incredible there for you as well. And the personalization, I appreciate too the fact that, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, but the question about, can I do that text, the voice to text to create, to help that student express their learning, to demonstrate their learning. Also, I appreciate the Khan Academy too, about having the chat bots to be able to have that conversation that's low stakes. They're not being judged by a human being, right? It's like a chatbot saying, hey, maybe you might consider starting your sentences with prepositional phrases, right? And so they're getting that feedback that is more, like I said, low stakes. I think almost all your platforms coming up will have all of this available, but just be wary about the cost. This was the reason why I had the colors. I'm so sorry, there was just so much talking, but the reason why I had the color, what our favorite colors, because I was going to put you out in like little breakout rooms, but I hope that I hope that you got some information that's going to be helpful for when you're designing your lessons, designing learning experiences, which I love that term more, where you identify cultural context, using your students' backgrounds and their experiences, maybe have them teach you how to use the AI on Snapchat, have them create a tutor on ChatGPT that they can then practice with their friends, generate relevant content, leverage it to create learning materials that you can create like that, like the Padlet. Incorporate those principles of universal design, making sure that everybody's like that, the engagement, there's representation, and that they have choice. And then always evaluate and refine. I'm always looking at different ways of incorporating AI and always having that critical lens to make sure that it is truthful to the way that I want it to be truthful, and also that I'm using it ethically. I just added this on here when we were writing prompts, that ethical, that bias, that almost all of our generators have that bias to them. This was actually, on Midjourney. What does a professor of business look like? What does a professor of economics look like? What does a professor of computer science look like? And they all look like the same man. And so this is a really good lesson too for students, for when they ask it to prompt something and it brings back an image. Is that image culturally responsive? Using AI image generators again, this is a picture of my two dogs. Each image generator is going to generate it differently. So the first one was ChatGPT, the second was Copilot, and the third one was Gemini. And so using different platforms is a really great critical thinking skill for our students as well, to see the differences in the way that images are being generated. So again, this is the framework, hopefully to guide you in how you can leverage, promote, ensure, emphasize, and focus on how AI can be implemented into your practice. Always think about AI this equity lens of having all of your students be able to recognize, grasp, use, and critically assess any type of AI that is being incorporated into your practice. Here's evaluating your own integration strategies, assessing your own confidence, and please only, your confidence in learning and it transfers to your students. Identify your gaps. Where do you need support? Set goals and make a plan. My last quote is, as you envision a future classroom integrated with AI, how do you see the human essence being preserved, celebrated, and nurtured amidst all this technological progress? I'd love for any kind of strategy, an aha, or like a wondering. If you don't mind just popping that into the chat for me.